lovely people! Welcome to the channel. I'm the self-proclaimed Blue Dragon, and this week I'm sketching the cover art for my submission to the Aradia 90s zine, which is going to be part of a Kickstarter this fall. I'll be giving more information on that once we have things more put together, but in the meanwhile, I'm allowed to share works in progress, and so I've been trying to do like kind of a little funny slight parody of like a lot of the 90s nostalgia that I personally really enjoyed when I was younger. And so I'm kind of combining both my magical girl fandom with just regular like US animated cartoons that I used to watch, like Tiny Toon Adventures. Although while this is a little bit of a spoof on how I spent my vacation, one of the films that the Tiny Toons crew created, there's also like primarily a lot of things that are kind of nods to 90s nostalgia that I'm going to be kind of incorporating into this 7-page zine submission, this one-shot essentially. And this one-shot is taking place after the girls have come back from their future and have returned to the point at which they had left their present, which is actually the past. Way too confusing to talk about in this video because time travel is involved. But at any rate, this is their last summer before the end of the world as they know it. And so, because this is for like a zine and it needs to be safe for work, I'm trying to keep this specific submission remotely lighthearted. There's going to be a bit of spoofing on like the 90s action films that were really popular, like Speed and any of the Die Hard movies. There's always some villain who's taking people hostages and threatening to blow things up. In the 90s, this is an homage to the starry-eyed yesteryear and film and nostalgia pop culture of the 90s. So I'm hoping people are not reading into this more than is there. But I'm also going to have like some nods to like the corny jokes that were in cartoons like Captain Planet or, oh man, not Freakazoid, but I love the shit out of Freakazoid. That cartoon was so funny. But anyway, yeah, things of that nature essentially. And then of course I'm going to have my Sailor Moon Magical Girl nods as well. And there is going to be a transformation scene in this one shot. I have somehow managed to squeeze it in. 7 pages seems like a lot, but when one of those pages is actually like the cover art also, you've essentially only got 6 pages to set up the story. You got to do your opening, your middle, and your end. So I hope that the pacing isn't too breakneck. I try to like get us into the story, for people who don't really know Kana and Arena, make sure that I got their names, down there, saying it to each other, and just kind of setting up their personality a little bit, and then jumping into the short little action scenes and the transformation and stuff. So I'm hoping that I am able to successfully create this one shot and not have it be too herky-jerky, and also not have like every single Easter egg be like in your face. I was never really a fan of Ready Player One, and I don't like just dropping names of things. I mean, it's boring to just list all the things that you liked, incorporate it in another way, do it in another way than just bam, 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 this, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to not like kind of be hammering people over the head with the nostalgia. I'm just kind of having it in there here and there, and those who know, and those who don't, the story hopefully will be solid enough and fun enough that people will enjoy it, even though it might not necessarily be something that they grew up with, I suppose is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, in the background, the cover, just to kind of go into more detail, make this a little bit, I'm not going to have this be like a super long video because I don't have too much to say about it. But just to kind of do that homage to Tiny Toon Adventures, I at first did the concentric circles with my circle tool. I never get to use it, so I wanted to use it for this. I actually did end up scanning it into the computer and using that as kind of like my base for making my concentric circles in the Photoshop document that I set up for the cover art. And each circle is a different layer, so I was able to modify and kind of get something that looks close enough to the Tiny Toons / Looney Tunes opening screenshot, you know, they always have the characters in the middle. I mean, you all have seen that. You've seen it. You know what it is. Without being like a complete and total ripoff of it. And also, you know, just with what skill sets that I have. It's not perfect. It's not really kind of rounded like they do, but I like how it turned out. I didn't want it to be an exact knockoff of it. I did want it to kind of be my own thing. I will show a little bit of the work in progress at the end of the video. It's not complete. I'm actually teaching myself, well, and by teaching myself, I mean I'm watching tutorials on how to use the pen tool and Photoshop. So I'm getting a little bit of experience with like vectors to work on the font, or the graphic text, I should say. But I'll show you what I've got done so far at the end of this video. The girls, you know, they're not exactly in the same pose as Buster and Babs, like in the How I Spent My Vacation cover, but I have it, you know, similar enough that you kind of get the feel of the whole Looney Tunes vibe going on here. And of course, they're wearing very 90s fashions. Rin, I decided to have in a handkerchief top, and Kana is in bib overalls with like a bright neon pink shirt on. So I feel like that kind of captures both of the girls' personalities fairly well, setting up like the contrast between their personalities while still keeping that whole 90s theme kind of going on with this. That's really all I have to say about this sketch. I had a lot of fun. Because this is a paid gig, I'm kind of obsessing a little bit over making sure everything, like the proportions are perfect, as perfect as I can get them. I've been flipping these back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, almost ad nauseum, but I just really want to make sure that things look good for the zine, since it is something that people will be buying. My comic I try to make look as good as possible, and I should be probably obsessing a little bit more, but I've also got like more deadlines for that, and it's optional to pay, which, by the way, people who support me on Patreon and Subscribestar, those people are amazing, and they get all kinds of extra content. I've got blogs, I've got additional art, I show works in progress, and you know, just kind of talk a little bit about the process and share events and stuff that I'm going to, things of that nature. So I do want to take a pause here and thank them for all their support, because seriously, anytime I need like supplies or something that's not necessarily like budgeted for, that's what really helps me, you know, get the things I need to continue making my comic. But it is all optional, and I thank those people for, you know, investing their hard-earned cash and helping support this story. I hope they're enjoying it, even though I haven't been as obsessive about flipping the pages as I am in this video. I have actually been trying my best to work on both like the storytelling aspects with like the way the pages are set up, trying to make things a little bit more dynamic and interesting, trying to be expressive and detailed with my inking and the characters' features, and I'm trying to like kind of break out of the box, being mindful of, you know, how I'm paneling. I'm really trying to fix my issues with like composition for like the action scene that's taking place right now in Awakenings, which is posting on Webtoon. But of course my patrons and Subscribestar members, they get those pages early. Like I've been regularly a week in advance on those pages. I'd like to get a little bit further ahead, but with everything going on, I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I'm still ahead. I'm trying. I'm working. I'm trying. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I'm going to go ahead and throw up what my work in progress is so far, and you can see that I've already laid down my initial vector text, the graphic font text for Dark Horse that I worked on over this weekend. So I think this image turned out pretty well, and in my opinion, it's the best of my capabilities. I think it looks okay. Alright, well, so that's all I have to say about the cover art work in progress that I'm sharing here. We are actually having an event this weekend, Aradia Magical Girl Collective, Magical Person Collective. They are having a live stream this weekend, September 17th and 18th, that's Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be running 3 to 7 p.m. Pacific time, 4 to 8 p.m. Rocky Mountain time, 5 to 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time. I'm going to be moderating the chat. I'm not going to be like live streaming with them, but I'm going to be there watching the streams. probably going to be some video gaming. There's going to be some magical girl talk. There's probably going to be some art. We don't have like the whole schedule hammered out yet, but I will be acting as moderator. So if you stop by, come and have fun, treat each other well. Our general guidelines are just don't be a dick. You know, don't be intentionally offensive. Don't be rude to people. Treat others well, and others will treat you well too. But yeah, I'll be doing that, and it'll be fun kind of hanging out in the chat and seeing what everyone's got to say. The link for their Twitch channel is going to be down in the description. Otherwise, that's all I've got to say this week. Peace and love, fare you well, and keep on trucking.